Ambassador Hyunwoo sat in his assigned seat at the Galactic Council chamber and waited. He had been waiting for 3 hours now. This was normal. The council members always made the human delegation wait. It was their way of showing that Earth did not matter much to them. The chamber was massive. It floated in space, a giant structure that held representatives from 200 different alien species. The walls were transparent, showing the stars outside. Hyunwoo had stopped finding it beautiful about 2 years ago. Now it just reminded him of how far from home he was. The council will now hear petition number 847. From the human delegation, a mechanical voice announced finally. Hyunwoo stood up and walked to the center platform. His assistant Taemin followed him. Taemin was officially a military attaché, but everyone knew he was there to observe and report back to Earth Command. The general rarely spoke during these meetings. He just watched everything with quiet eyes. Hyunwoo activated his datapad. Images appeared in the air around him, showing maps of an asteroid field near Earth's outer colonies. Honorable Council members, I am here to present evidence that the Thraxian Empire has begun mining operations in Zone 77 Beta. This zone was claimed by Earth in 2244, as documented in filing AC 7290. We have recordings of Thraxian vessels extracting resources from asteroids that belong to Earth. Premier Velshara, the insectoid leader who chaired the council, made a clicking sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. Her 4 eyes gleamed with something that looked like amusement. Ambassador Hyunwoo, this is your 8th complaint this cycle about territorial disputes. Do you do anything except file paperwork? Some of the other council members made sounds that indicated agreement. A few were openly laughing. Hyunwoo kept his face calm. He had learned long ago that showing anger or frustration only made things worse. Premier, with respect, we have followed every proper procedure. We submitted our territorial claims according to council law. We have documentation proving our presence in these zones before any other species arrived. We simply ask that the council enforce its own rules. Rules, Velshara said, waving one of her blade-like arms dismissively. The rules say that species must be able to defend their territorial claims. Can Earth defend an asteroid field against the Thraxian Empire? It was a trap question. If Hyunwoo said yes, they would call him aggressive. If he said no, they would use it as justification to ignore Earth's claims. We prefer to resolve disputes through diplomatic channels, Hyunwoo said carefully. That is why we bring these matters to the council. How convenient, said the Thraxian representative, a massive creature covered in thick armor plates. You want us to fight your battles while you sit safely behind your paperwork. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Hyunwoo felt Taemin shift slightly behind him. The general's hand moved near his communication device, but he did not activate it. Not yet. We are not asking anyone to fight, Hyunwoo said. His voice remained level and polite. We are asking for recognition of legitimate claims. We are asking for the law to be applied fairly. The law, Velshara said, leaning forward on her platform. Let me tell you about the law, human. The law exists for species that matter, species that contribute to the council, species that have power. What does Earth contribute? You have been members for 5 years. You attend meetings. You file complaints. You are very polite. But what do you actually do? Hyunwoo felt something cold settle in his stomach. He had felt this moment coming for months. The disrespect had been growing steadily worse. Where they once simply ignored Earth's concerns, now they openly mocked them. Earth contributes to 37 different council trade networks, Hyunwoo said. We handle logistics and transportation for dozens of species. We have shared our medical research freely. We have offered aid during natural disasters. We have been good partners. Good secretaries, you mean, Velshara said. Good delivery drivers. Yes, humans are very useful for carrying things and filling out forms. But this is a council of powers, not a council of servants. The chamber fell silent. Even the other representatives who had been laughing seemed surprised by how directly insulting that was. Hyunwoo took a breath. He thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 7 years old. He had missed her last birthday because of this job. He had spent 5 years of his life in this chamber, being patient, being polite, following every rule, and watching his species be treated like children. I see, he said quietly. Then Earth formally requests a ruling on our territorial claim. Yes or no? We want it on record. Velshara's mandibles clicked in irritation. Very well. The Council rules that territorial claims must be backed by credible defense capability. Earth has not demonstrated such capability. Claim denied. Next petition. Hyunwoo looked at the Premier for a long moment. Then he looked around the chamber at all the representatives from all the different species. Most of them would not meet his eyes. They knew this was wrong, but none of them would speak up. Earth was new. Earth was weak. Why risk angering powerful species like the Thoraxians for the sake of humans? Understood, Hyunwoo said. For the record, that is Earth's 847th petition denied. We have received 0 favorable rulings in 5 years of Council membership. Because you bring 0 worthy petitions, Velshara said, perhaps if Earth spent less time complaining and more time building actual power, you would be taken seriously. Now I believe we are done here, unless you want to file Form 848. The laughter returned. Hyunwoo felt Taemin's hand on his shoulder, a gentle pressure that meant it was time to go. They had pushed as far as they could today. As they walked back to their seats, Hyunwoo's communication device buzzed. He glanced at it and felt his breath catch. It was a message from Earth Command. Priority level maximum. Authorization code FF01, he knew that code. Every Earth diplomat knew that code. They had all been briefed on what it meant during training. He had just never believed he would actually see it used. FAFO stood for Find Around and Find Out. It was not official military terminology. It was the code that meant the diplomatic approach had failed completely. It meant Earth had decided to stop asking nicely. Hyunwoo looked at Taemin. The general had received the same message. His face was unreadable, but his eyes were hard. Do it, Hyunwoo said quietly. Taemin nodded and activated his secure channel to Captain Mirai, who commanded the Earth defense vessel Indomitable, currently on patrol near the disputed asteroid field. Hyunwoo returned to the center platform. Protocol said he should wait to be recognized, but he did not care about protocol anymore. He had spent 5 years caring about protocol. Premier Velshara, he said, his voice carrying across the suddenly quiet chamber. I want to thank you. Velshara looked surprised. Thank me? Yes, for 5 years I have submitted petitions. I have been patient. I have been polite. I have followed every rule in your council procedures. And you have taught me something very important today. And what is that? Velshara asked, her voice dripping with contempt. Hyunwoo smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. You have taught me that asking nicely does not work. So Earth is done asking. He turned and walked out of the chamber. Taemin followed. Behind them, confused murmurs filled the council chamber. As they entered their private transport, Hyunwoo activated his communication device. He recorded a simple message and transmitted it to Earth Command, copied to every Earth vessel in the sector. Diplomatic protocol suspended. All commands now defer to military authority. Rules of engagement, weapons free, the message sent. Somewhere far away, Captain Mirai would receive it, and the Thoraxian mining fleet would learn what happens when humans stop being polite. Captain Mirai stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the Thoraxian mining fleet on her screens. There were 15 vessels, all massive industrial ships designed to crack open asteroids and extract valuable minerals. They were not military ships, but each one was 3 times the size of her destroyer. Captain, we are receiving the authorization code from Ambassador Hyunwoo, her communications officer said. FF01, diplomatic protocol suspended, weapons free. Mirai had been waiting for this message for 3 months. She had known it was coming. Every time Hyunwoo filed another petition, every time he was dismissed or mocked, she had felt it building. Earth Command had been patient. The diplomats had been patient. The entire human race had been patient, but there was a limit to patience. Helm, take us within broadcasting range of the Thoraxian fleet, Mirai ordered. Weapons, power up all systems, but do not lock targets yet. I want them to see us warming up. The Indomitable moved forward, its engines glowing brighter as it accelerated. Behind it, 3 more Earth destroyers followed in formation. They were small ships compared to the mining vessels, but they were built for war. Every line of their design spoke of purpose and efficiency. On the Thoraxian command ship, Commander Grexthor watched the human vessels approach. He was not concerned. He had 6 security frigates with his fleet, more than enough to handle a few small destroyers. Besides, humans did not fight. Everyone knew this. Humans filed complaints and sent strongly worded letters. They were harmless. "Commander, the human vessel is hailing us," his communications officer said. Grexthor made a rumbling sound of amusement. "Put them on. Let us hear what complaint they have today." The screen activated, showing a human female in a dark uniform. She looked young, perhaps in her early 30s by human standards. Her face was calm, almost expressionless. "This is Captain Mirai of the Earth Defense Force vessel Indomitable. You are operating illegally in Earth-claimed territory. You have 60 seconds to power down your mining operations and begin departure from this zone." Grexthor laughed, a deep booming sound. "Or what, human? You will file a report? Send another petition to the council?" His security officers laughed with him. Mirai did not smile. 55 seconds. "This is absurd," Grexthor said. "We have authorization from the council to operate here. Your claims were denied. We are breaking no laws. 50 seconds. We are not asking the council anymore. We are telling you, leave or be removed." Grexthor's amusement faded slightly. There was something in the human's voice, a flatness that he did not recognize. "You cannot be serious. You have 4 small ships. I have a fleet. Even if you were foolish enough to attack, you would lose." 45 seconds. This was becoming irritating. Grexthor decided to end the conversation in a way the humans would understand. He nodded to his weapons officer. "Active weapons lock on the lead human vessel. Maybe that will convince them to leave us alone." Alarms sounded on the Indomitable's bridge. "Captain, 6 Thraxian vessels have locked weapons on us," the tactical officer reported. "Noted," Mirai said. Her voice did not change at all. 30 seconds. On the main screen, Grexthor could see the human captain just standing there, completely calm. It was unnerving. Normal species showed fear when weapons were pointed at them. They backed down or attacked. They did not just stand there counting. 20 seconds. "This is your last warning, human," Grexthor said, trying to sound authoritative. "Power down and withdraw or we will fire." 15 seconds. "The warning is yours, not mine." Grexthor's hand moved toward his weapons release. Maybe he would fire a warning shot, something to scare these presumptuous. 10 seconds, 9, 8. Against his better judgment, Grexthor found himself waiting. The human's voice was like a countdown to something, and he wanted to see what happened at 0. It was foolish, but something about her certainty made him hesitate. 3, 2, 1. Mirai lowered her hand. "Fire." The Indomitable's railguns opened up at the same instant as its 3 sister ships. Tungsten rounds moving at relativistic speeds crossed the distance between the fleets in seconds. The Thraxian security frigates, still locked on the human ships, did not even have time to fire before the rounds hit. The first frigate exploded. The second lost its entire forward section. The third tried to turn but was hit along its spine, breaking it in half. The others managed to get their shields up, but the human weapons went through shields like they were not even there. "Return fire!" Grexthor screamed. "All ships, return fire." The mining vessels were not built for combat. They tried to scatter, their massive engines burning as they attempted to flee, but the human destroyers were faster. Much faster. They moved through space like predators, breaking formation and selecting targets with practiced efficiency. Mirai watched her tactical display. "Target the mining ship furthest from the group. I want them to understand that running does not help." The Indomitable accelerated hard, pulling 6 gravities. The human crew, secured in their acceleration couches, did not even flinch. The ship's artificial gravity compensated for most of it, and what remained was less than what human fighter pilots trained under regularly. The fleeing mining ship was massive, its hold full of stolen minerals from Earth's asteroids. It was slow and completely undefended. The Indomitable's missiles locked on and launched. 6 missiles, each one guided by an AI that had been programmed to hunt ships exactly like this one. The mining ship tried to deploy chaff and flares, but human missiles did not care about those. They slammed into the engines, the power core, and the main cargo sections. The ship did not explode so much as it disintegrated, breaking into thousands of tumbling pieces. Time elapsed. 2 minutes, Mirai's tactical officer reported. 3 enemy frigates destroyed, 3 damaged. 1 mining ship destroyed. Continue engagement. Target their weapons first on the frigates, then their engines. I want survivors who can report what happened here. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 4 more minutes. By the end, every Thraxian security frigate was crippled or destroyed. 5 mining ships were intact but disabled. The rest were debris. Mirai opened a channel to the surviving Thraxian vessels. This is Captain Mirai. You have 10 minutes to abandon ship. We will not fire on life pods. After 10 minutes, we will destroy any vessel still in this zone. This is your only warning. Life pods began ejecting immediately. Meanwhile, back at the Galactic Council station, Dr. Jiwan was running toward the council chamber. She was a xenoanthropologist, a specialist in studying the cultures and behaviors of different species. She had been studying humans for 3 years, and she had been trying to warn the council for 2 of those years. Nobody had listened. She burst into the chamber where Premier Velshara was addressing a trade committee. Premier, we have a situation. Velshara turned, her mandibles clicking in irritation. Dr. Jiwan, this is a closed session. The humans just destroyed the Thraxian mining fleet in Zone 77 Beta. The chamber went silent. What? Velshara's voice was quiet, disbelieving. Jiwan activated her datapad, projecting the reports that were flooding in. Captain Mirai, commanding the Earth vessel Indomitable, engaged the Thraxian fleet 6 minutes ago. The engagement lasted 4 minutes. All Thraxian military vessels were destroyed or disabled. Multiple mining ships destroyed. The humans are broadcasting a warning that any vessel remaining in the zone will be destroyed. That is impossible, the Thraxian trade representative said. Grexthor had 6 frigates with him. 6 against 4 human destroyers? The destroyers were enough, Jiwan said grimly. And according to these reports, the humans did not even take damage. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Velshara sat back, her alien features showing what might have been shock. This cannot be. Humans do not fight. They are diplomats. They file petitions. They are peaceful. No, Jiwan said, her voice urgent. They were peaceful. You pushed them too far. I tried to warn you. I tried to tell you that you were misunderstanding their nature. What do you mean? Another council member asked. Jiwan pulled up files on her datapad, her hands shaking slightly. I have been studying Earth's history since they joined the council. Do you know what I found? Do you know why humans are the only intelligent species to evolve on their planet? Because they outcompeted the others, Velshara said dismissively. Natural selection. This is basic— No, Jiwan interrupted, something she had never done before to the Premier. Because they killed all the others. Humans did not outcompete Neanderthals. They killed them. They did not peacefully coexist with megafauna. They hunted them to extinction. Humans are the last surviving human species because they are better at surviving than any other variant. She pulled up images, horrifying images from Earth's history. This is what they call World War I, 40 million dead. This is World War II, 85 million dead. This is the Cold War, where they built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their entire planet 50 times over. And they stood at the brink for decades. The council members stared at the images in horror. They evolved on a death world, Jiwan continued. A planet that tried to kill them with diseases, predators, weather, and disasters. And they not only survived, they thrived. They climbed to the top of the food chain. The Galactic Council emergency session was called within an hour. Every member was present, either physically or through holographic projection. The massive chamber that usually echoed with idle conversation was silent. On the main display, footage from the battle in Zone 77 Beta played on loop. 4 human destroyers destroying an entire fleet. It took 4 minutes. Premier Velshara stood at her podium, her usual confidence visibly shaken. The council recognizes the representative from the Thraxian Empire. The Thraxian ambassador stood slowly. He was younger than his predecessor, who had suddenly resigned after the news broke. The Empire formally protests the unprovoked attack by human forces. This was an act of war. We demand— Unprovoked. A new voice cut through the chamber. Everyone turned. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood at the entrance, but he was not alone. Behind him walked a human woman in a military uniform decorated with more medals and insignia than most council members had ever seen. She was tall, in her 50s, and her eyes swept the chamber like she was calculating firing solutions. Who is this? Velshara demanded. This session is for ambassadors only. This is Admiral Kyung-soo, Hyunwoo said calmly, walking to the human delegation seats. She commands the Earth Defense Force. Given that several species have declared their intent to pursue military action against Earth, we thought it appropriate to have our military commander present. Military action? Kyung-soo said, her voice carrying easily across the chamber. Please proceed. We are very interested to hear these plans. The Thraxian ambassador faltered. Something about the way the human admiral spoke made his threat sound suddenly hollow. Hyun-woo reached his seat, but he did not sit. Instead, he stood and looked around at the assembled council. For 5 years, I have stood in this chamber. I have filed 847 petitions, all denied. I have presented evidence of territorial violations, trade frauds, and safety violations, all ignored. I have followed every rule, every protocol, every proper procedure, and I have been mocked for it. The chamber was silent. You called us secretaries, Hyun-woo continued. You called us delivery drivers. You laughed at our politeness. You mistook our patience for weakness. That was your mistake, not ours. You attacked a mining fleet, someone shouted. We removed illegal vessels from our territory, Hyun-woo corrected. We gave them warning. We gave them 60 seconds to leave. They refused. They pointed weapons at our ships. They made their choice. This will not stand, the Thoraxian ambassador said, trying to regain control. The Empire has allies. We will form a coalition. A coalition? Admiral Kyung-soo said. She activated her datapad, and new images appeared in the chamber. Please form your coalition. Allow me to show you what you will be facing. The first image was of a ship, then another, then hundreds, then thousands. What you saw in Zone 77 Beta was a patrol group, Kyung-soo said. 4 destroyers. This is the actual Earth Defense Force. The numbers scrolled across the display. The council members stared in disbelief. 15,000 combat vessels, Kyung-soo said. 30,000 support craft. 200 battle stations. And those are just the assets we keep in our home system. We have defense fleets stationed at each of our colonies, trade hubs, and resource points. Impossible, Velshara whispered. You have been members for 5 years. You could not have built. We have been a spacefaring species for 300 years, Kyung-soo interrupted. We have been members of your council for 5. Before we joined, we built these ships. We built them because we learned long ago never to be helpless, never to depend on others for our defense, and certainly never to trust that laws alone would protect us. She changed the display. Now it showed Earth itself hanging in space, beautiful and blue. This is our home. We nearly destroyed it 6 times. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, pandemics, asteroid impacts, AI rebellions, nanotechnology disasters. Every time we survived, every time we learned, every time we became harder to kill. A new voice spoke up, accented and carefully neutral. It was Haeun, another human who had entered with the Admiral. She was younger than Hyun-woo, perhaps in her early 30s. I am Haeun. I am the new lead ambassador for Earth. Ambassador Hyun-woo is retiring from diplomatic service. The Council's treatment of him made it clear that his talents were wasted here. New ambassador, Velshara said. The Council must approve. The Council will approve whatever Earth tells it to approve, Haeun said flatly. Or the Council will learn to function without Earth's participation. You cannot threaten. It is not a threat. It is a statement of fact. Haeun pulled up more data. Earth manages 40% of Council logistics. We operate the 3 largest trade hubs. We handle medical supply distribution for 70 species. We maintain the communication network that allows this council to function across light years of space. We do all of this not because we need to, but because we chose to be helpful. She let that sink in. As of this morning, Earth has withdrawn from all non-essential council operations. No more logistics support for species that deny our territorial claims. No more medical aid for governments that vote against our interests. No more running errands for species that call us secretaries. The chamber erupted. Dozens of species began shouting at once, some in anger, others in panic. Many of them depended on human logistics for critical supplies. Earth had been so reliable, so helpful, that they had stopped maintaining their own supply chains. This is extortion, someone shouted. No, Haeun said. Extortion is what you did to us. You took our help and gave us nothing in return. You used our services and showed us disrespect. You treated us like servants and then wondered why we stopped serving. Admiral Kyung-soo stepped forward. And now we come to the important part. The part where we discuss what happens next. She waved her hand and the display changed. Now it showed a map of council space with Earth's territories highlighted in blue. These are our claimed zones. As of today, they are not claims. They are facts. We own them. We control them. Any vessel entering these zones without permission will be removed. We will not file petitions about it. We will not ask the council for permission. We will simply defend what is ours. This is outrageous, Velshara said. The Council determines territorial rights, not individual species. The Council had its chance, Kyung-soo said. For 5 years we let you determine our rights. You determined that we had none. So now we are determining our own rights. You are welcome to disagree. We are ready for that discussion. The implied threat was clear. A discussion with Earth now meant a military discussion. You are barbarians, Velshara hissed. You come here with your weapons and your threats. You prove that humans are nothing but violent animals pretending to be civilized. The chamber went very quiet. It was one thing to deny Earth's claims or dismiss their complaints. It was another to insult them to their faces with their admiral standing right there. Hyunwoo, who had been standing silently, finally spoke. His voice was soft, almost sad. Premier Velshara, may I show you something? He activated his own datapad. Images appeared in the chamber. They were not military images. They were pictures of Earth. Cities, parks, children playing, hospitals, schools, art galleries, music halls. This is what humans built when we were not building weapons, Hyunwoo said. This is what we chose to create when we decided that war was not the answer. We built peace. We built beauty. We built a civilization based on cooperation and mutual respect. More images appeared. Human doctors helping alien patients. Human engineers building infrastructure on colony worlds. Human teachers instructing the children of a dozen different species. Human traders ensuring that supplies reached remote stations. For 5 years we showed you the best of humanity, Hyunwoo said. We showed you our patience, our cooperation, our willingness to help others. We did this because we believed that the Council was a place where such behavior would be valued, where it would be reciprocated. He looked directly at Velshara. We were wrong, and that is very sad, but it is not our fault. You call us barbarians, Admiral Kyung-soo said. You call us animals, but we are the ones who came here in peace. We are the ones who followed your laws even when those laws were applied unjustly. We are the ones who tried diplomacy first, second, and 847 more times after that. She stepped closer to Velshara's podium. You want to see barbarians? You want to see animals? Look in a mirror, Premier. You created this situation. You dismissed good faith with contempt. You answered patience with mockery, and now you face the consequences. Are you declaring war on the Council? Someone asked, their voice shaking. No, Haeon said. We are declaring independence from the Council's authority over our territories. We are also offering new terms for our continued membership. She pulled up a document. These are Earth's requirements. First, immediate recognition of all territorial claims submitted over the past 5 years. Second, formal apologies from 3 species for specific violations of our sovereignty. Third, reparations for economic losses caused by the Thoraxian mining operations. Fourth, a permanent seat on the Council Security Committee. Fifth, veto power over any Council actions that affect Earth's interests. Unacceptable, Velshara said. No species has such powers. Then Earth will exit the Council, Haeon said simply. The Council chamber remained in chaos for 3 hours after Earth's delegation left. Species argued with each other, blamed each other, and tried to figure out how this had happened. How had the peaceful humans, the helpful humans, the polite humans, become the most dangerous species in the Council? Dr. Ji-won had returned to her office, but she was not alone. A small group of Council members had followed her, desperate to understand what was happening. They sat in her cramped workspace, surrounded by files and displays showing Earth's history. Help us understand, said Council Member Thex, a crystalline being who had always tried to be fair to Earth. What did we miss? What did we not see? Ji-won pulled up a presentation she had been preparing for months, hoping someone would finally ask to see it. Everything. You missed everything, because you never bothered to really look at humanity. She activated the first display. It showed humans playing a sport, men crashing into each other with brutal force fighting over an oval ball. This is rugby. It is how humans play. Watch how they hit each other. Any other species would consider this combat. Humans call it a game. They do this for fun. The next display showed 2 humans in a cage punching and kicking each other while crowds cheered. This is called mixed martial arts. Humans train for years to do this. They study dozens of different fighting styles. They practice hurting each other and they call it sport. Another display showing humans on ice slamming into walls and each other with sticks in their hands. Ice hockey. Notice how they are moving on frozen water. Humans took one of their planet's most dangerous surfaces and decided to play violent games on it while wearing blades on their feet. Thex stared at the images. But these are games. Surely their actual military training is different? Jiwan pulled up new footage. This is human military training. What they require before someone is allowed to be a soldier. The council members watched in silence as humans ran through obstacle courses carrying heavy equipment. They crawled through mud under barbed wire while explosions went off around them. They went days without sleep, simulating combat conditions. They practiced hand-to-hand combat until they could disable opponents in seconds. This is basic training, Jiwan said. This is what every human soldier learns before they are allowed anywhere near actual combat. And these, she pulled up new images, are their special forces, the elite units. The footage showed humans doing things that seemed impossible, parachuting from aircraft at night, swimming underwater for impossible distances, surviving in deserts and frozen wastelands with minimal equipment, fighting in cities, jungles, mountains, and open plains. Humans call themselves persistence hunters, Jiwan explained. On their homeworld, they would chase prey for days. Not hours, days. They would run after an animal until it collapsed from exhaustion. They are built to never stop, to never give up, to outlast anything. She pulled up medical data. Look at their biology. They heal from injuries that would kill most species. They can lose blood, lose organs, even lose limbs and survive. They have redundant systems for everything. Their bodies are designed for survival under the worst possible conditions. But surely this is all about their past, someone said. They have evolved beyond this. They are civilized now. Are they? Jiwan pulled up recent footage from Earth itself. This is a human disaster response from last year. An earthquake destroyed a city. Watch what happens. The footage showed chaos at first, buildings collapsed, fires burning. Then the humans arrived. Thousands of them. They pulled survivors from rubble with their bare hands. They worked for days without rest. They organized, coordinated, and saved tens of thousands of lives. Humans do not panic, Jiwan said. When disaster strikes, when everything goes wrong, they do not freeze. They do not flee. They organize. They adapt. They overcome. This is what makes them dangerous. Not their weapons. Not their ships. Their mindset. She pulled up historical data. When humans discovered nuclear weapons, they immediately used them on each other. 2 cities destroyed in seconds. But then something remarkable happened. They stopped. They looked at what they had done and they decided never to do it again. For 300 years they have had the power to destroy their entire planet, and they have chosen not to use it. That proves they are peaceful, someone said hopefully. No, Jiwan said firmly. It proves they are disciplined. It proves they can control themselves. But that control is a choice they make every single day, and the council convinced them to stop making that choice. She pulled up the footage from the council chambers showing Velshara mocking Hyunwoo, laughing at Earth's petitions. You told them they did not matter. You told them they were servants. You dismissed their legitimate claims 847 times. And you thought this made you powerful. It did not. It made you fools. Thex shifted uncomfortably. What can we do now? How do we fix this? I do not know if you can, Jiwan said honestly. But I can tell you what will happen if you do not try. Earth will leave the council. They will take their logistics, their medical research, and their trade networks with them. Dozens of species will collapse within months. And then when you are weak and desperate, someone will try to attack Earth. Perhaps the Thoraxians seeking revenge. Perhaps someone else? And, Thex asked, though they seemed afraid of the answer. And Earth will defend themselves. And it will not look like the battle in Zone 77 Beta. That was a warning. A small demonstration of capability. If Earth feels genuinely threatened, if they believe their survival is at stake, they will fight with everything they have. And they have been building weapons and ships and defenses for 300 years. Jiwan pulled up a final display, a quote from human history. There is a saying on Earth, from one of their old military leaders. We sleep safely in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would harm us. The council forgot that humans have those rough men. You only saw the diplomats, the helpers, the polite ones. You never looked at who was standing behind them. The room fell silent. I need to speak to Earth, Thex said finally. Someone needs to build a bridge. Someone needs to apologize. Apologies will not be enough, Jiwan warned, but they are a start. Meanwhile, in a different part of the station, Professor Daehyun had arrived from Earth. He was a historian, specifically a historian of human warfare. The council had requested his presence, hoping he could help them understand what they were facing. He stood now in a lecture hall addressing 100 council members who had come to listen. "Thank you for inviting me," Daehyun said, his tone professional but cold. "Though I note that it took a military incident for anyone to want to hear what I have to say about human history. I have been trying to present this information for 2 years." Uncomfortable silence. "Let me be clear about something," Daehyun continued. "You think we are soft because we are polite. We thought you were intelligent enough to understand the difference. Clearly, we were both wrong." He pulled up an image of ancient Earth, humans with primitive weapons hunting massive animals. This is where humans started. Small, weak, with no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armor. We should have been prey. But we were not. Know why? He pointed to a human skull, highlighting the brain. Because we think. We plan, we cooperate. We make tools. And most importantly, we never give up. Ever. The next image showed human warriors throughout history. We fought each other for thousands of years. We perfected the art of killing. We studied it. We wrote books about it. We built entire philosophies around it. War is not something we stumbled into. It is something we mastered. He showed the world wars, the images Ji-won had shown earlier, but with more context. World War I killed 40 million humans. We learned from it and immediately started World War II, which killed 85 million. You know what we learned from that? The council members waited. We learned how to kill even more efficiently. We learned that wars could be won or lost based on logistics, on supply chains, on economic production. So we became the best in the galaxy at all of those things. You think we manage your trade routes because we are helpful? No. We manage your trade routes because we know exactly how to disrupt them if we need to. The implications were staggering. Earth had not been helping the Council out of kindness. They had been studying the Council's weaknesses. Every time we delivered supplies to a remote station, we learned the route, Daehyun said. Every time we helped with a medical emergency, we learned your biology. Every time we participated in a trade negotiation, we learned your economy. For 5 years, you thought we were being useful servants. We were gathering intelligence. Someone made a noise of distress. Do not misunderstand, Daehyun said. We did help you. We genuinely wanted to be good partners. But we are not idiots. We help, but we also prepare. We trust, but we also verify. We hope for peace, but we plan for war. He pulled up footage of human children playing. You want to see how humans raise their young? We teach them strategy games. Chess, Go, checkers. We teach them to think 3 moves ahead. We teach them that losing is okay as long as you learn from it. We teach them that persistence matters more than talent. More footage showing human schools. We teach our children about our wars. We do not hide our history. 3 days after the incident in Zone 77 Beta, the Thraxian Empire made a decision that would change everything. They had been humiliated. Their mining fleet was destroyed. Their military vessels were defeated in minutes. And the entire galaxy had watched it happen. Pride demanded a response. The Thraxian war fleet assembled at the edge of their territory. 50 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts that had never been defeated in battle. They were not coming to negotiate. They were coming to teach humanity a lesson about challenging the Empire. This is foolish, Commander Thek said, watching the fleet depart from their observation post. This is incredibly foolish. The Empire cannot look weak, their aide said. If they do not respond, other species will think they can challenge Thraxian power. So they are sacrificing 50 ships to save their pride. They believe they will win. The Empire has been studying the battle footage. They think the humans simply surprised Grexthor. They think a real war fleet will prevail. Thex felt a deep sense of dread. They had spent the last 3 days learning about humanity, reading Ji-won's reports, attending Daehyun's lectures. They knew what the Thraxians were walking into. We need to warn them, Thex said. They will not listen. They think we are cowards for not joining their fleet. The Thraxian war fleet jumped to human space, emerging near a small human colony called New Sol. They expected Earth's forces to scramble, to panic, to call for negotiations. They expected to demonstrate their power and force humanity to back down. What they found instead was Captain Mireille's destroyer group, still on patrol after the first incident. 4 small ships against 50 large ones. The Thraxians felt confident. Human vessels, this is Fleet Commander Borax of the Thraxian Empire. You will surrender immediately and accept Empire authority over this sector, or we will destroy your colony. You have 10 minutes to comply. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Mirai looked at her communications officer. Send a priority alert to Admiral Kyung-soo. Tell her we have a situation. Should we withdraw, Captain? Mirai looked at the 50 enemy ships on her display. She thought about all the people on New Seoul, the human families living there, children going to school, farmers working their fields. She thought about Hyunwoo's endless patience, his 847 petitions, his belief that words could solve problems. Words had not worked. No, Mirai said. We stand here. Broadcast a warning to the colony. Emergency evacuation protocols. They have 9 minutes. Captain, we cannot hold 50 ships for 9 minutes. We will hold them, Mirai said. Or we will make them pay so heavily for their victory that they regret coming here. She opened a channel to the Thraxian fleet. Fleet Commander Borax, this is Captain Mirai. You have made a mistake. Leave now while you still can. Borax laughed. 4 ships against 50. You are brave human but stupid. Last chance. Surrender or die. You first, Mirai said and cut the channel. She looked at her crew. We are not going to die today. But if we do, we are taking as many of them with us as we can. For Earth, for the colony. For every human who tried to solve this peacefully and was ignored. For Ambassador Hyunwoo, someone shouted. For Hyunwoo, Mirai agreed. Fire! The battle began instantly. The 4 human destroyers accelerated at impossible speeds, their engines burning brighter than stars. They did not form a defensive line. They attacked. The Thraxians expected a defensive fight, maybe a delaying action. They did not expect 4 ships to charge directly into their formation like missiles. The human destroyers split apart, each one selecting targets with ruthless efficiency. Mirai's ship went after the dreadnoughts. The massive vessels were powerful, but they were also slow. The Indomitable circled one at high speed, firing railgun rounds into specific points on the hull, shields, engines, weapons. The dreadnought tried to track her, but she was too fast, moving in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully calculated. Target their bridge, Mirai ordered. I want their command staff to feel this. The railgun rounds punched through the dreadnought's armor and into the command center. Explosions bloomed along the massive ship's spine. It did not die, but it was crippled, unable to effectively fight. The other human destroyers were dancing through the Thraxian formation, their weapons never stopping. Every shot was precise. Every movement was planned. They fought like they had trained for this exact scenario, because they had. Human military doctrine was built on scenarios, outnumbered, outgunned, desperate situations. Humans trained to win those scenarios anyway. Captain, we are taking damage, the tactical officer reported. Shields at 60%. Noted, continue engagement. How long until Admiral Kyung-soo arrives? 4 minutes. Mirai allowed herself a small smile. Then we only need to last 4 more minutes. I think we can manage that. On New Seoul, the evacuation was proceeding rapidly. Humans were very good at evacuations. They practiced them regularly. Every colony had bunkers, every city had shelters, every family had a plan. Within 6 minutes, 90% of the population was underground or evacuating on transport ships. The last transport lifted off just as Admiral Kyung-soo's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. 50 human ships. Heavy cruisers, battleships, carriers, and a flagship that dwarfed anything the Thraxians had brought. The Thraxian fleet stopped firing. They had expected to fight 4 destroyers. This was something completely different. Fleet Commander Borax, Admiral Kyung-soo's voice filled every communication channel. This is your only warning. Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted out of human territory, or continue fighting and die. Choose now. Borax looked at his tactical display. His fleet had taken significant damage from just 4 destroyers. Now he faced 50 warships, many of them larger and better armed than anything he had, and somewhere behind them Earth had thousands more. Pride demanded he fight. Survival demanded he retreat. Pride lost. We surrender, Borax said, his voice hollow. Smart choice, Kyung-soo said. Disarm your vessels and prepare to be boarded. The battle was over. It had lasted 6 minutes. The Thraxians had lost 8 ships destroyed and 20 more damaged. The human destroyers had taken damage but were all still operational. 0 human casualties. The news reached the Galactic Council within the hour. Premier Velshara watched the battle footage in her private office, her mandibles clicking in what might have been fear or anger or both. They defeated 50 ships, her aide said unnecessarily. I can see that, Belshara snapped. How many casualties? The humans? None. They evacuated their colony in time. The Thoraxians lost over 3,000 crew members. Belshara sat back. For 5 years, she had dismissed the humans. She had laughed at their petitions. She had thought them weak, irrelevant, useful only for menial tasks. She had been wrong. Catastrophically wrong. Contact Ambassador Heun, Belshara said quietly. Tell her I wish to discuss Earth's terms. Premier, the other council members will see this as surrender. It is not surrender, Belshara said. It is survival. The humans have been trying to tell us that for 5 years. Perhaps it is time we listened. The council session that followed was very different from previous sessions. The human delegation entered to silence. No mockery, no laughter. Just wary respect and poorly hidden fear. Ambassador Heun took her seat at the head table, in a position that had been hastily cleared for her. Ambassador Hyunwoo sat beside her. He had not retired after all. Earth had decided he should witness this moment. The council recognizes Earth, Belshara said formally. Heun stood. Thank you, Premier. Earth appreciates the council's willingness to reconsider our relationship. It was diplomatic language, but everyone understood the real meaning. Thank you for finally listening now that you have no choice. The council has reviewed Earth's terms, Belshara continued. We find them acceptable. All of them? Heun asked. All of them. A murmur went through the chamber. In 3 days, Earth had gone from being dismissed and mocked to having the council accept every single one of their demands. Additionally, Belshara said, and her voice suggested she was being forced to say this by several council members who understood the situation better than she did. The council apologizes for its treatment of Earth over the past 5 years. Our behavior was unworthy of this body. We failed to recognize Earth's contributions and legitimate interests. Hyunwoo leaned forward in his seat. This was the apology he had tried to earn for 5 years. The recognition he had sought through 847 petitions. And now it came, not because he had convinced them with logic and evidence, but because Captain Mire had shown them the cost of refusing. He felt tired. Vindicated but tired. Earth accepts the council's apology, Heun said, and we want to be clear about something. We did not want this. We did not want to fight. We spent 5 years trying to avoid this exact situation, but you left us no choice. We understand, Thek said, speaking up from their seat. And some of us are sorry we did not listen sooner. Some of you, Heun repeated. Yes, but not all of you. Some of you are only sorry now because you lost. Some of you would still be laughing at us if we had not proven we could fight back. That is something Earth will remember. The chamber remained silent. Going forward, Earth will participate fully in council operations, Heun continued. Our logistics networks will be restored.